It's really a strange legal battle in Texas with this teenager battling her high school over a policy that requires students to display an ID card that has a microchip embedded in it. This is a 15-year-old. Her name is Andrea Hernandez, who alleges the chips violated her religious beliefs. She claims that the badge is actually the sign of the devil.
Fox News senior judicial analyst, and I am not making any jokes, Judge Andrew Napolitano, he's an angel, is here to discuss this. There was a preliminary ruling against her, but the argument is flawed in what way?
Yeah, I think this is a case of a lawyer paying too much attention to his own client, because the client, whose religious views are pretty extreme, but they're religious views that have to be protected. And those views are that by wearing this ID badge, because it has a microchip in it, it's the sign of the devil, and she's going to go to hell as a result of it. The court basically rejected that argument and said by removing the microchip from the card, the school has accommodated its need for safety, its need to know where you are in the building, and your religious concerns. If she and her lawyers had made a privacy argument, this is not News Corp, where we're all required to use our IDs to get from one section of the building to the next. News Corp being a private corporation, private property, not regulated by the Fourth Amendment. This is government property. This is a school. They are regulated by the Fourth Amendment. The school can no more the government can no more make you carry a microchip than it can implant a microchip under your skin, which has been suggested in another case. That, in my view, would have been the stronger argument for her. But we are facing a trend, Connell and Dagan, whereby the courts are accepting the loss of privacy.
Right.
They take for granted that there's nothing wrong with wearing an ID around your neck, because almost everywhere you go today, in the confinement of the workplace, people are wearing them.
Well, let's think about this and take, as you said, take religion out of it for a moment, because it brings up kind of the wider discussion of how do we use technology to, make us more efficient or even make us safer. We're having all these discussions in schools about, after the shooting in Connecticut, maybe something like this or more technology would be used.
Let me try and
but you can't force people to do it, you're saying.
All right, let me try and crystallize the argument for you. One school of thought is you need to balance safety with freedom, and then freedom will include privacy. Another school of thought is safety and privacy are not equals. Privacy is the greater good. Privacy is a natural right. I can keep myself safe, but I need the government to stay away from me to keep me private. So there's no balance between them. It's a bias in favor of privacy. So the burden should be on the government to prove why this is necessary, not on the defendant, the student, to prove why this is harmful.
But the momentum is toward greater security, is it not?
Yes. The government has the government either based on sound reasoning and logic, or its own thirst for power, has scared most of the public into accepting these restrictions on privacy. Our good friend Stuart and Varney and I discussed this morning a proposal in the state of Washington which would put a microchip in your car and tax you by the miles that you drive. Of course, it would also know everywhere that your car goes. This is not GM doing this. This is the government. You see, the Fourth Amendment regulates these things. It was written to keep the government off the people's backs. I know times change and attitudes change.
Right.
But freedom doesn't.
But with the risk of making you take a swing at maybe Dagan's in between us, should there be some flexibility on this if it does? If you can
very
make that
good question. That's a superb question. No swing, a kiss, an intellectual kiss, because the Supreme Court has ruled that there is flexibility with respect to children. Do you remember that crazy, nutty? You'll know this phrase. Bong hits for Jesus case,
right,
where a kid held up a sign at a parade saying bong hits for Jesus. It was off school property and it was after school hours, and he got disciplined for doing it. The Supreme Court said when it comes to children, schools and the government have a little bit more authority than with respect to adults. So what starts with 15-year-olds, will it end up with 35-year-olds? Is the slippery slope going to happen? I don't think the judge took into account the dangers of his decision. I think he very carefully, methodically, and prudently addressed only her rather extreme, if you will, religious claims, rather than the broad societal implications of children wearing microchips.
Fantastic conversation and
Pleasure,
insight,
guys.
Judge Andrew Napolitano.
Strange case, but important conversation about other issues. All right,
Indeed.
But look who you co-anchor with, so,
And speaking of
Don't tell Barney I offered to kiss you on the set.
No, an intellectual kiss, which is one of my favorite phrases of the week so far.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what to make of that.